let's get in to this week in Shohei Ohtani news. My favorite player in baseball. I talk about him all the time. Why? For good reason, man. Every time that somebody's doing something that hasn't been done in 100 years, it should probably be talked about. And that's what I do here. I talk about Ohtani because he deserves to be talked about. What did he do this week? Earlier in the week, he hits a home run at 117 miles an hour. An absolute laser beam off the bat in Anaheim. Crushed it. Let me give you a stat here. Shohei Ohtani hit the hardest home run the other night at 117 miles an hour in Angels since 2015 in the Angels. So nobody has hit a home run harder than Shohei Ohtani in 6 years in the entire Angels organization. Think about who's there. 1, Mike Trout, the obvious one, the GOAT, the greatest of all time, potentially. I think so. Hasn't hit a homer that hard. Albert Pujols, one of the greatest of all times. Towards the end of his career, but the guy can still mash some homers. In 2015, Albert's a different player back then. Some newer guys, Anthony Rendon hadn't been there long, but these guys have had some guys in the organization that are greats, all-time greats. Shohei Ohtani the other night hits a harder home run than has been hit in that organization in 6 years. Absolutely incredible. Then, fast forward to later in the week when Shohei Ohtani is supposed to start on the mound. We hear Ohtani is scratched. When I first hear that Shohei Ohtani is scratched from the start, my mind goes in a blender. I get upset. Something's not right. I think the entire baseball world here is in fear that Ohtani and what we are seeing today is going to become derailed because of injury. So we're all on like pins and needles when we hear stuff like that. It later comes out that Ohtani missed his start because of traffic. There was an accident up in San Francisco. They were playing in Oakland. An accident on the Bay Bridge. Shohei Ohtani is taking the last bus to the field. He's that day's starting pitcher. So you take the last bus. He's on the last bus. They run into an accident. So they avert plans. They try and find another mode of transportation. They take the wrong route. They go the wrong way. Shohei Ohtani shows up to the stadium too late to start. He still hits in this game, but he can't start because of a traffic jam. But then the next day comes. So his start gets pushed back another day. He ends up starting the very next day. All is well in the world. Things are fine. Ohtani's throwing great the next day. He's on the mound. He's pitching great, punching guys out, hadn't given up a run. And then all of a sudden, he throws one up and in to Mark Canha. Fastball up and in. Canha doesn't love it. Doesn't love it. Mouths off a little bit out there saying, hey, blah, blah, blah. You know, whatever he said. I'm sure there were some expletives involved. Probably. Ohtani probably didn't even understand him. But he just stood there and smiled as tensions flared. The benches cleared. Both teams come running out, you know, as they always do when stuff like that happens. And Ohtani just stood out there and smiled and like waved and said, I'm sorry. Canha ended up saying, I think he overreacted a little bit, but Suzuki, the catcher, got in his face. And I think that kind of escalated everything. But Ohtani's reaction out on the mound was incredible. And, I took to Twitter and talked about this and to Instagram, and people said, well, he threw 90 some miles an hour at his face. Like, what would you have done? I'll tell you what I would have done. If Shohei Ohtani threw 98 miles an hour at my face, I would have apologized to Shohei Ohtani for my face being there. That's how much I love Shohei Ohtani. So a lot went on with Ohtani this week. I love the guy. That is this week in Shohei Ohtani news. Thanks for watching. If you love Flippin Bats, swinging 3-0, or just talking ball, join us. Call us at 213-537-9339 with your questions. We have a weekly guest, and we have a lot of fun, so hit that subscribe button.